Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Emily Hiles, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Sergeant Adam Wall. This evening, we warmly welcome the family of Sergeant Henry Arthur Newnham, whose story will be told shortly. We also warmly welcome Group Captain Bruce Chandler, retired, representing the Air Force Association. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Club Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family, visitors to the memorial, and students on behalf of Mount Carmel College from Sandy Bay, Tasmania. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Students, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved. And here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Sergeant Henry Arthur Newnham. Henry Newnham was born on the 27th of October 1921 in Dulungra in north-eastern New South Wales. Known by his middle name, Arthur, he was the eldest of 5 children, born to farmer Henry Newman and his wife, Ella. Arthur received his education at Manila Primary School and later at Hurlstone Agricultural High School, where he was a keen student and sportsman playing tennis and cricket. On completion of his education, Arthur returned to the family property where he worked as a farmhand and tractor driver. At the outbreak of the Second World War, he was serving as a member of the militia. Arthur Newman enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force on the 17th of August 1942. After completing the initial training, he travelled to Parkes to undertake a course in wireless air gunnery in October 1942. There, he was found to be more suitable for training as a rear gunner and was transferred to a bombing and air gunnery school at Port Pirie. He qualified as an air gunner on the 28th of April 1943 and returned to Sydney, where he embarked for the United Kingdom a month later. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,500 RAF pilots, navigators, wireless operators, air gunners and flight engineers who, throughout the course of the war, joined the Royal Air Force squadrons or Australian squadrons based in Britain. After travelling via America, Newnham arrived in England in July and was allocated to No. 17 Operational Training Unit. He was also given some time to do some sightseeing and visited London with his comrades. In August, he wrote his mother, "Dear Mum, I did not write on Sunday night as I usually do because my mate and I got our exercises finished early and got Sunday afternoon and Monday off and went to London. We had a good day looking around. We saw Westminster Abbey, Big Ben, Parliament House, St Paul's, Tower of London, Tower Bridge, Buckingham Palace, Hyde Park, and many other interesting places." By this stage of the war, the bomber offensive against Nazi Germany had intensified and Allied bombers were in constant action over enemy territory. The fighting was still in the balance as the bomber crews braved the sophisticated and deadly German air defences. As part of No. 6 Group of Bomber Command, No. 17 Operational Training Unit operated out of RAF Base Silverstone, where crews were trained for night bombing missions. In September, Newnham took part in one of these missions, attacking a German long-range gun battery in France, which faced the English Channel. Afterwards, he wrote what would be his final letter home. "Dear Mum, I have just remembered that I've not written to you this weekend yet. I went to the pictures Saturday night and have been busy since. I bought a bike in town last week. I was the only one in my crew without one, and there was a lot of walking I had to do on my own. It doesn't seem long since I last wrote, and news is scarce, so I will close. Love to all at home, Arthur." On the 18th of September 1943, Newnham took off on a night training flight in a Wellington bomber with 4 other aircrew. At about 1 in the morning, the crew encountered problems with the aircraft, which began to lose height, sending the crew of the aircraft plummeting towards Earth. The pilot was unable to avoid disaster, and the aircraft nosedived into the ground at great speed near the village of Hallwood, bursting into flames on impact. The entire crew, including Sergeant Arthur Newman, were killed instantly. In reporting the young sergeant's death, the Inverell Times noted, "Newnham now joins the immortal band of young heroes who have vindicated the wise words of Mr. Churchill. Never had so many owed so much to so few. Australia has one more young man in whom she can feel the greatest pride, and one more mother has been called upon to give her best for the good of the nation. Arthur Newman was 21 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour to my left, amongst almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Sergeant Henry Arthur Newnham, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.